Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're stepping into the shadows of Albany, New York, to look at a dark, cold case that hung over the city for nearly 3 decades. We're talking about a brutal, practically unthinkable crime involving a newborn baby discarded and just left in a local park. And for 27 years, this trail was entirely frozen. The person responsible was living a completely normal life, right out in the open, just blending into the fabric of everyday suburban society. So we're going to dive straight into the facts of this chilling case, unraveling exactly how modern science and an absolute masterclass in police interrogation finally forced the truth into the light. Because what police found inside this case literally changed everything. So let's dive right into this. I want you to picture a peaceful suburban street. It's a crisp, totally ordinary morning, September 6th, 2024. The scene is incredibly mundane. It's a Dunkin' Donuts parking lot in Guilderland, New York. A 52-year-old woman named Carrie Mazuka is just going about her day. Then, suddenly, police officers swarm her vehicle. They don't draw their weapons, they don't scream at her, they just politely but very firmly ask her to come with them. They actually assure her she's not in any danger, even making small talk about the slow elevator at the police station. On the surface, it's this picture-perfect suburban life. But as one family is about to find out, no secret stays buried forever. You know, the contrast here is just jarring. As she's placed in the back of the cruiser, Carrie is completely consumed by the trivialities of suburban life. She's worrying about locking her gray car, texting work because she's going to be late, and even wondering aloud if this is all just over a traffic ticket for failing to use her turn signal. But the police, they are holding a crushing reality super close to their chests. They aren't there for a traffic violation. They are there for a 27-year-old cold case involving a murdered newborn, and they are armed with irrefutable genetic genealogy. The trap has already been set. Carrie just doesn't know she's in it yet.
Section 1. The Interrogation Room Trap.
Okay, so once they're inside the Albany Police Department, the investigator takes this incredibly calculated approach. He doesn't slam his hands on the table or yell. He acts like a guy who just needs a little bit of help solving an old, confusing mystery. It's a total psychological chess match designed to keep Carrie comfortable while he systematically walls her into an inescapable corner. But before we get deeper into that room, we really need to look at what happened 27 years ago. On September 7th, 1997, 3 park workers were just starting their shift in Washington Park during the Tulip Festival season. What they found among a bed of flowers was unimaginable. An unresponsive infant boy lying in the grass among burned blue cloth. Police and rescue rushed to the scene, but the child was already gone. They named him Baby Moses, which was a tragic nod to the park and a nearby statue. Take a second to just absorb that timeline. This wasn't a tragic medical anomaly. This was a newborn discarded and set on fire. So how did police finally bridge the gap between 1997 and 2024? Well, it all comes down to genetic genealogy. The detective casually explains to Carrie that they've been using third-party companies like Ancestry.com to build family trees based on the DNA of the remains found in the park. And here is the absolute genius of this trap. Earlier that exact same morning, police had already visited Carrie's sister, Wendy, over in Roxbury, New York, to get a cheek swab. By asking Carrie about her family history and having her eliminate everyone else, the detective is quietly tightening the noose. The DNA points directly to her family, and she just confirmed to him that she's the only one left who could possibly be the mother. Now, for 45 solid minutes, Carrie completely plays dumb. She claims she knows nothing, that her pregnancies were easy, that she was the town babysitter. But then the investigator returns to the room and shows her a horrific crime scene photo of the burned baby. He stops asking for her help. That friendly demeanor, it just vanishes. He looks right at her and delivers this chilling ultimatum. He tells her they're going to make DNA comparisons, and he says, quote, "God helps someone if they lie." He paints a very vivid picture of how terrible it's going to look if they prove she's the mother after she repeatedly sat there and denied it. Faced with literally inescapable DNA evidence, the whole facade just crumbles. After 27 years of absolute silence, she simply says, "I did it." Section 2. A shifting story. Now, getting a confession is a massive breakthrough, right? But as any seasoned investigator will tell you, that very first confession is rarely the full truth. What follows is this desperate attempt by Carrie to minimize her monstrous actions. Her narrative immediately starts to shift. First, she claims she gave birth in her bathtub, took the baby to the park, and just handed it to some random person named James. The detective shuts that down immediately. So she shifts to line number 2. She says there was water in the tub, and the baby must have accidentally drowned. But the detective is completely ready for this. He masterfully dismantles the lie by presenting hard forensic facts from 1997. He tells her, bluntly, that the baby didn't drown. There was zero water in the lungs, there was no trauma. He boxes her in again, stating that leaves only one possible cause of death: suffocation. Cornered by the cold, hard forensics, the darkest truth finally comes spilling out. I put my hands over its mouth and nose. She admits to putting the baby in a plastic bag, wrapping it in a towel, and literally carrying it out to her car like groceries. But the detective pushes for the exact, harrowing moment of death. He asks her if she felt the little breaths hitting her hand. She says yes. 10. That is the actual number of minutes Carrie Mazuka estimated she held her hands over her own newborn baby's face until the tiny breaths finally stopped. 10 agonizing minutes of applying pressure until the child was dead. But that still leaves the most visually disturbing piece of the crime scene totally unresolved. Why the scorch marks? Remember, this was a healthy 9-pound, 3-ounce baby boy. Yet he was found abandoned in a park with severe burns completely covering his back and the back of his head. Why on earth would someone do that after the baby was already deceased? Her reasoning here is it's chilling and it's cold logic. She literally tells the detective, "I wasn't setting the baby on fire. I was setting the towel on fire." She explains that as she was walking away, she realized her fingerprints and DNA might be left on the towel she wrapped the baby in. So to destroy the evidence tying her to the crime, she lit the towel ablaze, right there on the baby's body. There is just this massive disconnect going on here. Carrie repeatedly tries to excuse her actions by claiming she was young, stupid, and just in shock. Actually, scratch that. She said she had no clue what she was doing. But the reality, verified by her own admissions, shows a highly calculated sequence of events. She smothered the child for 10 minutes, bagged the body to avoid suspicion, transported it like groceries, and then intentionally set a fire specifically to destroy DNA and fingerprint evidence. That's not panic, folks. That is methodical, deliberate evidence tampering. Section 3. The return to normal. You would naturally think that confessing to a crime like this would completely break a person. You'd expect tears, a collapse, or maybe a desperate plea for forgiveness. But at the end of the interview, when detectives tell Carrie she isn't being arrested today and is free to go home while they process everything, her immediate response is to ask, "Am I free to go to Florida in November?" I mean, she has just confessed in harrowing detail to suffocating and burning her newborn, and her immediate concern is whether this little hiccup is going to ruin her upcoming vacation plans. It perfectly illustrates her complete disconnect from the gravity of taking a human life. And the timeline of her release is staggering to think about. She literally walks out of the police station and goes to work. Then she goes home and literally vacuums her house. What she didn't know was that police had secretly installed an eavesdropping device in her home. The official court records actually note that she treated the killing of this child, quote, as nothing more than a singular moment in time and of no consequence. She just went right back to doing her chores. Exactly 1 week later, the police officially arrest her. And even sitting in a jail cell, there is just zero true remorse. On a secretly recorded jail call, she complains about her situation. She asks the person on the other end, "Do I deserve something? Yes. Do I deserve to lose everything in my life, my house, my possessions, everything? No." Her focus remains entirely on herself, on what she is losing, rather than the life she extinguished 27 years ago. Once the truth was finally out there, the legal resolution moved pretty swiftly. Arrested in September 2024, Carrie Mazuka eventually struck a deal with the prosecution. She pleaded guilty to 1 count of manslaughter in the first degree and 1 count of tampering with physical evidence. On April 18, 2025, the hammer finally fell. She was sentenced to 25 years in prison, followed by 5 years of post-release supervision, to be served at the Bedford Hills Correctional Institution. At her sentencing, the court finally acknowledged the true identity of the child, Baby Spielman, which utilized Carrie's maiden name. The prosecutor noted the child's short life was absolutely nothing but suffering and pain. But it was the judge who delivered the final, incredibly powerful word. Looking directly at Carrie, the judge stated, "I'll call him Baby Moses and not Baby Spielman, because the detectives and officers who found him and gave him that name showed more love and consideration for your child than you ever did." It was a really striking moment of closure for a community that had mourned an unknown child for nearly 3 decades. This entire case is such an incredible testament to the relentless power of modern investigative science and the psychological precision of a seasoned detective. A horrific crime that was perfectly concealed by a facade of suburban normalcy was entirely dismantled by a microscopic trace of DNA in a quiet room in Albany. And it leaves us with this dark, highly provocative thought. If modern science can so thoroughly unearth a truth buried beneath 27 years of ordinary life, going to work, and vacuuming the living room, what other long-hidden secrets are living right next door? Because as we now know for absolute certain, some secrets are rarely buried forever.